Bam! I love the sound.
These fire like metallic projectiles using a rail system with very strong magnetic fields. This has a closed bolt design where when it fires, the bolt opens and closes again to load the next round. When an AR style rifle is out of ammunition, that lever will come out and lock the bolt in place in open position. It's a way to quickly reload the weapon so that you're combat. Audio, recoil, all of the typical things you'd expect from a Soviet caliber revolver. This sounds pretty damn good. I wouldn't be able to tell you how exactly they got the sounds for these weapons. I remember Medal of Honor Airborne, they actually went out to shoot the weapons that you hear, and they could be doing the same thing here. It's hard to tell, personally. I like that the character is actually, pulling back the hammer. It adds a little bit of some interest to the animation to me, even though I can personally guarantee you this is a double action revolver as well. Yeah, recoil feels good. With revolvers, most of the ones you're going to come across are both single and double action, which means that you can either pull the hammer back and fire, which is single action, or you can just start squeezing the trigger and the hammer will come back on its own. That's double action. Now, there are some revolvers out there that are double action only, where you can't actually access the hammer. The reason is because a lot of these revolvers that feature that are smaller, and they're designed for concealed carry. And when you're in a hairy situation, the last thing you're going to want is to have the hammer getting caught on your holster while you're trying to pull it out. The PTM here, which looks to be a Makarov. This is chambered for 9x18, which is kind of the standard issue caliber for Soviet pistols at the time. The mag release on these is going to be on the bottom, so as you can see, the character has to press this little lever, which will allow the magazine to fall out. Looks great. Okay, the slide goes back. Awesome. It's pretty similar to a 9mm, so in terms of damage, you're not going to see something like to the effect of like a 45 ACP or a 10mm or 40 Smith & Wesson. It'll take a few rounds to put someone down with a 9x18. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is basically a Heckler & Koch HK45. This is a 45 caliber pistol. I would say, I'm not entirely sure since I've not fired one of these yet, but being a 45 caliber, this is a large bore pistol. I feel like the sound might be a little underwhelming, as well as the recoil. The slide release is actually on the trigger guard itself. It's like a little lever that you just pull down and just the magazine comes right out. You'll notice here when this slides back, the barrel has kind of an upward angle. This is known as, I think, a tilting barrel. It's a Browning style lock. When you fire the gun, the slide and barrel will move back together at a short distance, and the barrel is cammed and kind of tilted to unlock from the slide so that the slide can keep going and sort of more properly eject and feed. It's basically a mechanism that allows for the round to more easily go into the barrel without getting snagged on this whole thing. Okay, so we have another 9x18 Soviet-style pistol here. Ooh, looks like it has a full auto feature. Looks to also be silenced. I don't actually know if a weapon like this exists. S.T.A.L.K.E.R kind of confuses me a little bit. Personally, they have like a PKM, but that's chambered in a 7.62x39 when that's traditionally 7.62. But you can see it's very similar to a Makarov in terms of how it reloads. In terms of the full auto, I think the recoil looks really good. It feels good. The animation feels good. Reload feels good. The sound, solid. Now, this is the Bouquet S2, which looks to roughly basically be what's known as an OTS S2. This is the OTS O2 Kiparis. I actually don't have a lot of knowledge or experience with this weapon. It's a 9x18 Makarov. It was designed by the design bureau of Tula. Tula is a factory that produced a lot of most of the guns back in the early 20th century. The magazine releases right in front of the trigger guard, and what I like is that, you can see it actually tilting when he releases the magazine. When the weapon is shouldered, you can see the bolt handle on the other side actually going back, which is wonderful detail. This is basically a bullpup version of an AK-47 or an AKM, which means that the firing mechanism and trigger group are in front of the magazine rather than the other way around. The Grom S14 looks to basically be loosely based on like an OTS-14. It's chambered in a standard Soviet 7.62x30 now. You can see kind of towards behind the bolt handle, which is like the thing sticking out of the side there that goes back and forth when the weapon's fired. You can see the top end of the the round through the receiver, which is a really nice detail. His thumb right now is on the magazine release, which is basically the exact same as an AK-47. This looks to be a stamped receiver, which means that it's going to be a lighter weight weapon. It'll be a little bit more recoil, but you can, carry it for longer periods of time and shoulder it for longer periods of time without getting tired out. This is basically a Chris Vector. This is a super advanced, kind of really weird. God, look at that. That thing has a hell of a fire rate. It's an American submachine gun. This has a closed bolt design where when it fires, the bolt opens and closes again to load the next round. This is in the game, it's 9mm, so the sound, I would say, is pretty accurate. I'm not sure about the fire rate. Very, very solid weapon. Very solid animation. No complaints. I'm not 100% sure on the accuracy to its real-life sort of counterpart, but maybe someday I'll get to fire one. Oh, all right. So this is basically an IWI Carmel. IWI is Israeli weapons industry, so it's Israeli weapon. I believe it's chambered in 5.56 by 45, which is basically like a militarized 223. The bolt's coming back, which is kind of cool. Bolt stays open. Awesome. This weapon is actually a little bit similar to like an M4/AR-15, and that it has a magazine release right above the mag well that just slam to close the bolt. And the mag eject has it's connected to another horizontal piece. I don't know what it's called, but when you press the button on one side, you'll see that horizontal piece come out. Yep, it's a MAC-10. Wow, that is a hell of a fire rate. I don't know if it's that quick. The magazine release is on the bottom. At the bottom of the magazine well, you push it with your thumb, pull out the mag. This is an open bolt design. The bolt is constantly open when the weapon is cocked, and when you pull the trigger, the bolt will close, then fire the cartridge. So overall, in terms of sound, it sounds quite accurate. It sounds like a 9mm to me. Recoil, I would say, is pretty accurate because these things climb like a ladder when you're shooting. So this is basically an MP5. It's a closed bolt with a roller delayed blowback. The bolt handle itself is somewhat separated from the actual bolt mechanism. So to reload this weapon, the bolt opening is on the incorrect side. It's usually on the right side of the weapon. So you can see here, he pulls the bolt handle back to open the bolt, but when the bolt is closed and the weapon is firing, that forward handle doesn't actually move. It's separated from the bolt mechanism itself. So this weapon's pretty much a PP-19 Bison. This was designed in 1993. It's a 9x18 Makarov submachine gun. The interesting thing about it is that it uses what you can see here as he reloads, it's a horizontal, tubular magazine. Design-wise, this works pretty much identically to an AK. I've never shot one of these before, but I mean, it's a 9x18. It's not much different than 9mm, so it's not going to have a super powerful, big sound. In terms of animation and sound quality and judging by the recoil, I mean, it's pretty solid. Beautiful. AK is one of my favorite platforms. This is a more modern version of an AK-47, basically. It is chambered for a slightly more compact cartridge than the standard AK. So this is 5.56 by 39. It's the Soviets' counterpart of the 5.56 by 45, the American cartridge. Yep, it does the good old magazine flick. I feel like a lot of games do that. But the sound is great. I mean, this sounds like an AK platform right here. Stamped receiver, so lighter weight. They did a really good job on this. Oh, it's another Heckler & This is the G36, basically, is what it's known as. These rifles were designed in the early 90s by Heckler & Koch. It's chambered for 5.56 by 45 NATO, which again is basically 223. Oh, look at that. Magazine release animates. Even when the mag's going back in, you can see it kind of slightly moving as the magazine goes past the mechanism. It's a really cool design. I mean, I've always liked these weapons. I think I had the opportunity to shoot one at range day, but I didn't end up getting to. Sounds great, looks great, no complaints. This is an AKS-74 SU. This is like a shortened version of an AK-74. It's still chambered for 5.45 by 39. Just overall, just a shorter profile, more compact. Shorter barrel, which means that it might not have the same range and accuracy as the standard AK-74. But animation's solid, it sounds great, no complaints there. Oh my goodness. This is another Israeli weapons industry's firearm. This normally chambered for 7.62 by 51. I had a Tula S.A.R. never actually got around to shooting it. I had to sell it, unfortunately, but these are a bullpup weapon. As I said earlier, the magazine is behind the fire mechanism. Now, in the S.A.R. that I had, the magazine release was actually right by the foregrip. Solid weapon, bullpup design, really easy to handle, very comfortable to hold for long periods of time, to shoulder for long periods of time. Yep. Oh, nice. Good old magazine flick. So yeah, this is basically a Heckler Koch 416. This is a
German AR style assault rifle here.
Look at that right there. Beautiful. So there's a little lever in the middle of the receiver, kind of above the magazine well, that's sticking out. That's the bolt release. And I'm loving lately that a lot of developers have been actually implementing this detail. When an AR style rifle is out of ammunition, that lever will come out and lock the bolt in place in open position. When you insert the next magazine or just slide the lever, it closes the bolt. It's a way to quickly reload the weapon so that you're combat ready. This is based on a Malyuk. I believe that's the name. This is a very new kind of Ukrainian platform. It's chambered for either 7.62 by 39, 5.45 by 39, or 5.45 by 45. So I don't know what it is in this game. It sounds like a pretty heavy caliber, so that this one might be 7.62 by 39. By the looks of it, it uses an AK magazine, which is pretty cool because that means that you don't have to actually design a magazine from scratch. You can just recycle ones from AKs and use those. I imagine, again, the developers did their homework with a lot of these weapons, so in terms of accuracy to its real-life counterpart, looks to be an ASVAL, or it might be a VSS vendor, as I don't fully know the difference. This is a Soviet assault rifle. I think it's chambered in 9 by 39. It has an integrated suppressor, so the suppressor is actually built into the weapon itself. You can't remove it basically. I don't know a whole lot about them. I know that they're somewhat functionally similar to an AK. Not a lot of recoil, and I think for a suppressed weapon, I would say it sounds pretty accurate.
Identical
to the previous one. So I think this is a VSS, which has the VSS, which is equipped with it's a 10-round magazine typically, and it has a scope. So not much different from the last weapon. So that one definitely has a 10-round magazine, still chambered for 9 by 39. Not much else to say about it, I don't think.
Solid though.
This is a kind of a standard issue general purpose machine gun from the Soviet era. It's a lot of fun to shoot. I've actually shot one of these before. It has a little bit faster of a fire rate, I believe, from what I remember. So it's a little bit slower in the game here. It sounds really great. Typically, this weapon, at the end of the belt, it has a little something that kind of feeds through the bolt opening there. Here, he's just kind of opening it up, slamming it down, and when he pulls back the bolt, it cuts off the feed. Pretty accurate here, although in the game it says it's chambered for 7.60 by 39, which that's right here. This is 7.62 by 39. It's my favorite weapon in the game. I love to just go all out with that thing, and being chased by a horde of, God, I can't remember the creature names anymore in the game, but there's that weird psychokinetic one that I really like to use that on. So, from what I can tell, I think it depends on where the bolt release is. Oh, that's the ghost load there. That right there is known as a ghost load, which is where you open up the pump, you put in a round, you close the pump, and then you fully load the tube at the bottom. This gives you an extra round. Very accurate, actually, in terms of recoil. I don't think it's stated enough just how much recoil these 12 gauges have. This is that weird, bullpup. I've seen these things sitting on the shelf at a gun shops occasionally. I don't actually remember what it's called. It's a bullpup shotgun loaded from the rear. I couldn't even begin to tell you where the shells are ejected from. Actually inspired by the DP-12 from Standard Manufacturing.
Never shot one.
I don't think I've even ever held one. So
it's a Dragunov.
This is a Soviet long rifle.
Functionally
very similar to an AK. It's chambered for 7.62 by 54R, so it's going to have quite a kick. The Dragunov actually, the bolt locks back when it's open. Designed in 1958, not long after the AKM was implemented, or right around the same time actually. Solid sound too. I love the sound of any AK style platform weapon. It's always, you can hear the mechanics more easily in those weapons. I feel like they're a little more rugged and loose on the inside, so there's a lot more of movement going on with the piston and the gas chamber pushing it back. This is a bullpup Dragunov basically, so functionally the exact same as the Dragunov, except it's bullpup configuration, magazine behind trigger group and the handle. It's chambered, I believe, for the same caliber. It's going to have a totally different feel than like your standard SBD, just because bullpup configurations, like I said before, have a different weight distribution. Having the magazine
In the back,
a full magazine weighs quite a bit, kind of pulls down as you're pulling the weapon to your shoulder. Bullpups can have the same length barrel of a non-bullpup rifle, but they could be shorter overall. Oh man, look at that.
we've got ourselves.
Gauss rifle.
That is awesome.
A Gauss rifle, basically, functionally is a lot different from your standard rifle. These fire like metallic projectiles,
Using a
like a rail system with very strong magnetic fields. These tiny pulses create like a moving magnetic field that accelerates a slug at a very, very high speed. Energy is typically stored in like these capacitors, which I think is at the very front of the weapon there. Precise timing of this dumping mechanism makes the magnetic pole transfer forward motion instead of stalling the projectile. The Gauss rifle is a coil gun. It uses electromagnetic coils along the barrel, and the capacitors dump tiny pulses. Alright, so look at that.
bam. I love the sound.
Something tells me that the audio is probably, you know, enhanced and sort of dramatized. You know, because like rail rifles, they don't sound anything like, you know, electricity. And the hardware for these do exist, but they mostly exist as lab prototypes and like hobbyist builds. They aren't really widely deployed. I guess that's it. I pretty much looked at all the weapons we're going to be reviewing today. Seriously, thank you guys for watching. This was a lot of fun. If I was wrong about anything, feel free to subscribe to my channel, Kommander Karl, and leave a comment and say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. And don't forget to also follow or subscribe to Gamology for more content just like this. Until then, Kommander out. How's that?
Hi.